welcome back to the BHAW Army Wrestling Radio Show. I'm Jordan Tom, followed Brian Rowan. We got a special guest on tonight, part of the Army Wrestling coaching staff. He was a state champ in high school. He was a Juco national champ, two-time NCAA qualifier at Nebraska, Army West Point volunteer coach, Anthony Abidin. What's up, Coach?
Hey, guys. I'm happy to be on here.
Welcome to the show. It's nice to have coaches on.
Hey, we're here to share what we know.
Yeah, catch us up. How are things going up at West Point with just everything? I mean, we had Coach Ward on a couple episodes, but how's training going?
Yeah, training's going well, but I guess as you guys know, and as the country knows right now, it's a different year. A lot of stuff's up in the air, but you know what West Point has been promising us, and our AD Mike Budd has been promising us is that we are going to have a season. It might not look like a regular season like we're all used to.
Yeah.
And as a coaching staff, this is new for us as well. So we're all in this together with the guys. It's new for them. They're scared. As a coaching staff, we're trying to ensure them that, what's going to happen this year is going to happen, but it's going to be a season. That's not you're used to, but it's going to be a season.
Are you has there been any kind of schedule put together yet, or like a first event? I know that there was word about, Army Air Force weekend, and obviously, all the COVID stuff went down with Air Force and, with the football shenanigans. But you guys have like a first date projected of when you're going to compete?
First date, we're trying to project maybe another date with Air Force, trying to get a tri-dual meet in early January. Everything's up in the air right now. We have a couple of teams that, we're talking to that we're trying to schedule some stuff with, but with everything going on, like exactly we were supposed to wrestle Air Force, and just like that, things change. And that's why we're trying to make solid proof plans right now. But next time it might not be us, it might be the other team. So right now we're just playing with what we got, and hopefully when the new year comes, when this year of 2020 is finally over, we can finally just start working towards the future and getting these matches set up and getting these guys the season that they deserve.
Yeah, with Air Force being like the match being dropped, was there like you guys get like a good amount of notice for that, or like how did that go down?
No, the notice that we got was about a week's notice. We thought
I know with the Prepsters wrestled the Air Force Prep School, that last Thursday. Coach Smith, had a bunch of viewers too. I think there was like 100 people that tuned in to watch the match live, so it was a pretty good turnout, I would think. I don't know if we can take credit for that because we promoted it a little bit, but shout out to JT and his graphics skills.
Hey.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, and I keep telling myself this, when I first found out that duel was still going on, I keep forgetting that, even though we're all within the same gates, it's two separate entities. They don't correspond with our athletic program. They don't listen to what our AD has to say or what we do at West Point. What we do at West Point doesn't matter to what they do at the prep school. I mean, you guys both know that much better than I do. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around the whole thing since we're on the same gates. But, and I'm really happy they got to get that. These prepsters, I think it's more important for them to get these matches in because, they chose West Point. It's their first prep year. They have a great coach down there, and Tyler Smith, who's one of my good friends. I know the guy is doing a great job, and he's got a great team. To show that other prospects in the country right now that hey, at the prep school we have a dual meet. We have one of the first dual meets in the country.
Right.
A national collegiate one, but guess what? We had a dual meet. Who else did? So it's looking good. I'm happy that that got to happen. I'm upset for our guys down the hill, but looking forward, we're going to try and do a couple more things. Maybe try to schedule like a mock duel with the prep team, just to get our guys ready, give them some competition, show the youngsters what's up and how we do it down the hill.
They used to have that every year. Back when I was a prepster, we came up that was back when I was at Fort Monmouth. We came up and it was like, I want to say it was during the college season. It was probably like early or late November. We came up and had like a dual meet. It was basically like the USMAP starters versus the backups, like the second string. It was pretty good. What?
Versus the split squad.
Yeah.
We're looking to do like their starting lineup versus ours, just to get our guys something. They'll probably have some other matches thrown in there, but just we want to give them that feel. All right, this is competition time. You are training for something. We can tell them that every day, and we're gonna make it happen. We are. But right now, we just have to give them something to look forward to and something to believe in right now.
Yeah.
Well, if we see anything with the football team, it's that the athletic department and Army is definitely committed to making competition happen, and by any means possible, they will make it work. So excited to see what happens for sure. Well, getting into your story, Coach, out of high school, state champ, New York, tough state, obviously, and took a different route before you went D1, spent some time in Nassau. Talk through just kind of what brought you there and maybe why you took that path.
So, funny story. I know I sound pretty, articulate in my vocabulary and the way I present myself, but I was not what you would call a traditional student athlete when I was in high school. I wasn't dumb. I was just what's the word? I think lazy in the classroom. I put all my effort into wrestling. I had a late start. I started wrestling in ninth grade. I grew up, doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing. That's what both my parents were doing. So when I got to high school, I was like, all right, I don't have many friends here. Let me try to join a sport. I weighed 95 pounds. They said, no football for you. I said, okay. So wrestling was the choice. And I devoted my entire high school career to it. And, I kept wanting to get better and better. And just, as much help as I got wrestling-wise, no one informed me how important grades were. No one informed me what the NCAA clearinghouse was. So as much as I wouldn't change my route because it led to something great, but it wasn't my first choice. I was talking to D1 schools, and actually at one point I was actually probably going to go to Rutgers out of high school. And then they asked for my, NCAA clearinghouse number, and I looked at them like, what's that? I think they hung up the phone. Then they didn't call me ever again. But so after I found out all that, and I noticed I wasn't going D1, lucky for me, my club coach was Vogar Rujao. Vito Rujao's dad. The guy was a 3-time world champion, Olympic bronze medalist. About 4'9", filled with butt kicking ability. He was my club coach, and then he was also the assistant coach at Nassau Community College. So he comes to my parents in his little Russian accent, going, "Listen, you come Nassau, you win your All-American Junior College national title, you go D1. That's it." And that's what he basically said, "You come here, I'll let you go. You're gonna go D1 after." So I listened. And at first I thought I was gonna redshirt that year, get adjusted to college, and then wrestle the next year because I had to spend 2 years there. With Juco, you have to graduate before you transfer. And they weren't gonna have that. They started me right away. And at that point, I haven't really seen Juco lately, but at that point when I was in Juco was really tough. We had a lot of great kids that just didn't have the grades to go D1. So I think the kid that was ranked number 1 at my weight class, his name was Brandon Wright. He's the kid that wrestled in the finals. He was like a 4-time Indiana State champ, a 3-time Fargo national champ, like a junior world team member. He was like a highly recruited athlete, but just didn't have the good grades. And he was supposed to walk through the tournament, and he mostly did. So that's what I was like comparing myself to. So I had an up and down year my first year there. Luckily ended high, but that was my route. I went to Juco because I was someone that I trusted, said, "Hey, you come here. Your future, it'll help your future." So and it worked. It worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but I took it with a stride and pushed through it.
So the JUCO path it's kind of similar to going to the prep school, going to USMAPs in some ways. Do you have that conversation with like potential recruits coming in, or do you have a special bond maybe with some of the prepsters, when they're coming in because you had a similar path in some ways?
It's funny you say that. I almost thought that once, but what steers me away really quickly is, all right, these kids are going to West Point, so their GPA is well above what mine was in high school. So that kind of steers me away from it. But the only difference is, you take the JUCO route, you're in control of it. You're either going to succeed or you're not. You're either going to, start your career again at a new school, or you're going to be done. I've seen a bunch of kids that went JUCO who were amazing wrestlers in high school, and then just burn themselves out. They're like, all right, now they looked at it as a joke. They looked at it as, they called it 13th grade. And, the kids, they burn out there, and it's rough sometimes. So with the prep school, I mean, these kids they're going to have the greatest, red shirt year in the country, with their own coach, with a bunch of other, and they're technically they are, but they're not, they're D1 already. Yeah. So that's the biggest difference is, technically, even though they're not a D1 school, they're D1 because they're going to be D1 12 months from where they started, as long as they keep their grades in order. That's promised to them. Juco route, nothing's promised. The only thing they'll promise you, they can't even promise you an associate's degree. Because you can be like, hey, you know what? This isn't for me. I want to be a plumber. I want to trade school.
Yep.
So what was the transition like going to, and sorry, I know Jordan's got another question after this, but this just kind of came up. You ended up in Nebraska. Did Nebraska talk to you in high school at all? Or was this like, hey, you won junior national, you became a junior national champ. Now you're on everybody's radar.
Yeah, so I won JUCOs, and I was waiting. So, I was shocked. I was not expecting. I remember my dad came to the JUCO national tournament. We're like, all right, top 3, top 4. Let's get high podium, right? Let's get there. And then, when I won, I was ecstatic, of course. And I knew who Jordan Burroughs was. I had all I see is gold train, of course, and we all had it back then. Big fan of him, but I honestly didn't know much about the Nebraska program. I just knew they were good, and I knew Burroughs was there. And then my coach, Navor, came to me and goes, hey, Nebraska wants you. I'm like, yeah, okay, no, seriously, where am I going? And honestly, I thought I was going to end up at Hofstra because they got to me before the JUCO national tournament. And they were basically offering me, 80%. I was like, oh, wow, this is – I can stay close to home. And then I remember I was at Beat the Streets. It was the 2012 Beat the Streets. And it was when I was outside, when Coleman Scott wrestled Sean Bunch to get the Olympic team. So I was there. So if you look at somebody, I'm actually in the stands. I had the Beat the Streets shirt on. I was like one of the grunts walking around. The first match was Reese Humphreys versus Coleman Scott, winner versus Sean Bunch. So I'm recording it. After the match, my friend's asked me, he goes, hey, this old guy wants to talk to you. And I see this guy just, silver hair going, wait a minute. My first reaction was, oh, what did I do wrong? So I walk up, I'm like, hi, how you doing? He's like, hey, how you doing? Mark Manning, University of Nebraska. Like Peyton Manning, but less money. And he just laughs. I was like, what? He talked slower. I saw his shirt, and then, he finally got to say that, hey, we saw you at the junior, JUCO Nationals. We were recruiting the kid that you beat in the finals. You beat him. We like the way you wrestle. Let's talk. Talked, and then I thought, hey, this is a Big Ten school. I looked at their roster. The kids that were at my weight class were like 3-time Minnesota State champions, and they were this kid was a Fargo champ, and I'm like, I got 1 state title, so like, do I really belong there? And that almost steered me away. It was intimidating for me. I was like, I think all I need is Hofstra. I'd be the guy there. I'd be close to home, and I wouldn't, I'd have a spot. Then I went out for a visit. I saw the team, and I don't know. Once I got out there, and it was going from a kid from Long Island, New York, to the cornfields in Nebraska. You're either gonna sink or swim, and I was flourishing there. I loved it. I loved the team, and I said, you know what? If I can't make myself a starter here, then I don't deserve to be a starter anywhere else. What's my goal? I want to be an All-American. If I can't do that there, then why? What's the point? If I can't be a starter there, I'm not going to ever be an All-American. So I made my choice, and I ended up there, and it was great. That transition was awesome, and I owe it all to JUCO. If I did have grades at a high school, I would have been at either a local Binghamton, Hofstra, like the local, maybe Rutgers, which hanging out with Jersey guys all day. I don't know what to do. I wouldn't know what to do. The whole New York, New Jersey thing, the reason we clash so much is because we're so alike. Yeah. And I hate to say it, and everyone hates to say it, but that's the truth.
Yeah. So you mentioned going to Nebraska. Obviously, your goal going in was to be an American. You finish out your career as a 2-time round of 12 guy, your junior and senior year. I mean, I was around at 16. I still think about that, so I can imagine that's difficult, probably even still. And you're more involved in the sport than I am, so it's probably more fresh and you revisit it more often. Does that drive you in your coaching? Like I hear a lot of people. Is it a good lesson that you get to talk to some of these other guys that go through the same experience? I know we've had a couple guys in that round of 12 in the last couple of years. Just talk through that and where you're at with it.
Yeah, so the biggest thing, I guess, as of right now, yes, it's a driving tool. Now, my biggest thing is I know, and I remember coaching Ben Harvey around 12 his junior year and seeing him lose me, I knew that pain. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again. That's my coaching point right now. I want to make sure that I can see what these guys are going through before it happens. Now, both my junior and senior year, at the time, I made an excuse for myself. Looking at it now, I'm like, well, that was all me. I wasn't making excuses because I was looking for them. So my body was feeling it, and it was my out. So that's what I try to look for in these guys. My junior year was, my body was fried. We were working out a lot. My senior year was the weight cut. So I try to look for those little things, or with mental problems. I try to look for those little things in our guys when we get to the national tournament, make sure they walk in there with no excuses in their heads. Because, you take that aspect out where they have no pre-planned excuse. All right, they just made themselves, they gave them 10% better chance of, winning. So it definitely is a driving point. At the time, my senior year, it was one of the most crushing experiences of my life. It almost knocked me away from the sport of wrestling. And after my senior year, I can tell you right now, so I stepped on the wrestling mat my senior year, 2016 NCAAs. I didn't want to wrestle anymore. After that, I graduated Nebraska. I never showed to a practice after that. I secluded myself. I just did my schoolwork. Went back home, tried to become a school teacher. Quickly found out that I hated kids. And then I just know, everything happens for a reason. I went to go watch the Bill Farrell tournament because my old training partner, Jason Chamberlain, NCAA finalist for Boise State, he was at Nebraska while I was there as an RTC member. Just got a job at Fresno State, and he said, "Hey, we're starting an RTC. Do you want to wrestle again?" I said, "Yep." Gave my 2-week notice at my teaching job and drove to California, New York. And ever since then, you look at these experiences and they can be the most soul-crushing experiences of your life where you're like, wow, this just ruined the sport for me. This just, this ruined my life. Why did I wrestle? Why did I do that? And I look at it now, like, you know what? That was a moment in my life where, I grew the most. Yeah. It's going to hurt. I can look back at it and have my regrets, but what's that going to do for me? It's not going to help me. I can use that anger, use that frustration, use that pain to help my guys. And just like you said, be real. I'm using that pain to help these guys. I'm not gonna just keep it in. Not be selfish. Got to do something with it.
Yeah. So you get out of Fresno State. What then gets you to Army? Talk us through that transition.
Yeah. So Fresno State. It was just a great experience. I left for Fresno State at the middle of March of 2017, and I competed a month later at the U.S. Open after being off the mat for almost a full year. That was fun. And again, what the worst part is about that, so I took a whole year off. I came back, U.S. Open. Guess when I lost? Round of 12. Ooh. I almost quit again. I was like, I hate my life. But yes, I competed there, but it was a great experience. Honestly, I grew my love for the sport. I made, great friends. Unfortunately, one of the best friends I made there was this guy, Blaze Cabell. I used to live with him and his girlfriend. Me and him aren't friends anymore because he's now the new assistant coach at Navy. So
that's right. Yeah, got ties.
I lost a friend, but I gained an enemy.
There you go.
We traded off. But other than that, so I got to travel, got to go to Cuba, explore these new places, and then I get a call from assistant coach Joe D'Angelo, who was actually on my junior college wrestling team. I don't know if you guys knew that. So Coach D'Angelo, who was here, me and him were actually at Nassau at the same time.
Okay.
Comes full circle.
Comes full circle. So he was at Army for the year before. He gives me a call and says, you interested in a job? And, the reason I got back into wrestling is because my dream was to be an NCAA D1 coach. I wasn't wrestling again I wasn't like, I'm gonna be a champ, I'm gonna be a world champ. I want to make myself relevant again. Why do I want to make myself relevant again? Because I wasn't relevant enough to leave. So I came back in, and I got that first glimpse. I wanted in. I was like, yes, sure, yes, let's get me out there. Let me visit the team. And I knew coming to Army before knowing anything. I was like, I want to coach. Then I met Kevin, and then after I met Kevin, I was like, oh wow, no, I really want to work for this team. This is a young guy who had basically the same career that I had. We didn't have stellar careers. Both had great programs. I guess his is a little bit more historic, but I'm not going to tell him that to his face. But all I
say with us too.
Well, we don't listen. Anyone can do this. We're all cowboys here, anyways. But I see. All I saw with Kevin was here's a young guy who had the same career, basically relatively the same career that I had. He's got a head coaching job. I want that. And how do you get something you want? You mentor or you shadow someone that has it. What are they doing? How did they get there? So I think that was probably the biggest thing. I mean, like I said, I wanted to get into coaching anyway, so I was probably going to take it. But that whole driving force was seeing this guy who I was like, I can see a lot of myself in this person. Charismatic, had the same everything. I was like, I want that. I want that. Sign me up. And there wasn't even a hesitation. After we talked, I was there for 2 days. He's like, hey, if I were to offer you the job right now, what would you say? I was like, yes. Where do I sign? Met some of the guys on the team, and that just made it easier. So, I mean, it was, like you said, it comes full circle, and I'm on my third year here. I mean, these guys are great. This team is great. So we're doing something right here. So I'm just hoping that I'm contributing to that something right that we're doing.
So now that you've been there a few years, you mentioned like losing a friend, gaining an enemy over that squid character. Do you get super into Army Navy? How is that? How's that rivalry for you? I know it's different between coaches. I just stole Jordan's question, by the way, because he stole my last one. But talk to us about what Army Navy means to you.
So I guess I'll say where it started. And where it started for me was when I was on my interview and I saw, the banners that say Beat Navy. And I didn't know that there was a rivalry at all. I came into this job not knowing anything. So once I saw that, I'm like, hey, if you want this job, you got to hate Navy. I said, okay. So right there, that's where it started. I was like, how do you feel about Navy? Those bastards, I don't like them at all. I mentioned I hate swimming. I just started getting really into it. So but now, it's crazy. I never once, before this job, I was like, oh, listen, Army, Navy, Air Force, no, they're Armed Forces guys, hey, they're going to be serving our country one day. Now I look at it like, hey, those guys, they suck.
Yeah.
If I see that coach in a bar, I'm probably going to smack a drink out of his hand. Theoretically, of course.
It's funny because there's a lot of moms around Army Navy. I grew up around the Philadelphia area, so there's always Army Navy rivalry, and there's always the moms that are like, oh yeah, well it's a rivalry. You guys really like each other. And it's like, nah, man, I fight every single one of them.
No, I thought that too. I thought it was gonna be like, oh yeah, it's rivalry. Like other schools, they actually they hate each other. Like God, the look they gave in each other's eyes, I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. I thought we were going to fight one of the coaches at the EIWAs in 2019. The head coach coming at us. I was like someone hold me back. I'm hopping over the fence. I'm hitting him. Luckily, I didn't do that, or else I probably would be on this podcast right now.
We need to set up a pre Army Navy duel with you and Colat doing a Greco match.
I would love that. See, I already have a win over them. So one of their old assistants, Daniel Neff, is their assistant there last year. I wrestled him first match of my senior year. He was a returning All-American. At 149, he dropped down to 141, and apparently he was talking a bunch of crap to Flo, saying, I All-American in a man's weight class, and now I'm at 41. I'm going to show these little guys what's up. And they said, "Oh, one of your first matches against Nebraska, Abidin around the 12." He's like, "Oh, well, listen, he's a 41 pounder. I'm gonna show you on that day." So I beat him up pretty bad. The dual meet, I beat him like I think 10-2, 8-2. So I always say, hey, Kevin, nobody should get a freestyle match with me and the other assistant just to show them how much better we are than them. You can wrestle that guy. Then I don't know who else to wrestle, but I would love to wrestle Cole in a Greco match. Give me a freestyle too. I'll hit him. I'll break his kneecaps. Fair is not my option at that point.
Set it up. Well, other than breaking Colat's knees, talk through some of your responsibilities as the volunteer assistant coach. You're going into your third season. And outside wrestling, I mean, the volunteer assistant coach is kind of centric just to our sport. So some people aren't maybe familiar with this, especially some of the older listeners. They don't really know what you do. Talk through what your responsibilities are.
So, yeah, like you said, third year, I mean, my responsibilities have gone up more and more. Yes, I'm the volunteer assistant. Technically, that was usually meant for guys. We're a practice partner. We're a technique coach. We're on the mat all the time. That's our job. We're there for the practices. We're there for the individuals. And that's true. I mean, was on the mat constantly. I mean, I would do 3 individuals a day, do one-on-ones. I'd be wrestling at every single practice because I wanted to as well. I'm a hands-on coach. But I always looked at myself as more. I mean, not only that, I wanted more. So, hey, how can I get more? I have to, give myself more responsibilities. I have to ask. If I want to be a head assistant one day, a full-time assistant, I have to be ready for those responsibilities. So, especially leading into this year, I worked really closely with, associate head coach, the recruiting wizard, as he was called, Ned Shuck. And, I've been working by his desk, mine, and working hand in hand. He's given me everything I can do. And within the NCAA, guidelines and NCAA rules, I've been just doing much more than, I feel like any other volunteer is doing right now because, I want those responsibilities. I want to be ready for that next step whenever I have to take it.
Yeah.
But again, in an interview, the coach says, hey, what do you feel about, this, and that? I'm like, well, I've done that 17 times yesterday. So I can do it right now if you want me to. So, I mean, it's been great, with helping with recruiting, with fundraising, getting the team ready, and even doing like the, what some people call the boring office work. I enjoy that because, I know it's for something greater. I know it's for something better. So it's been my responsibilities. I mean, it's not just wrestling anymore. I'm helping with recruiting. I'm helping with, setting up spreadsheets. I'm helping with, setting up dual meets, even all the boring stuff. So it's been great. It's been great. I love, what I do.
So just a little plug about the West Point Wrestling Club too. What are your roles? Do you have any roles in the West Point Wrestling Club? And can you talk to us a little bit about that and then the vision of it? I know a lot of our listeners, donate, want to support the club, want to support the program. What's your role with the West Point Wrestling Club?
So I get paid through the West Point Wrestling Club. I mean, they are my sole, sponsor. So I mean, West Point basically has, I follow their guidelines, but at the end of the day, I mean, they don't pay me. So I get all my payments through the West Point Wrestling Club. So I'm sponsored by them. So if that's, without the West Point Wrestling Club, I don't have a job. Without West Point Wrestling Club, we don't have, Anthony Abidin as a volunteer assistant. We also don't have Tyler Smith as the head prep school coach. So my role with them is, with Todd Messett being the president there, I'm also helping out with recruiting events, the whole golf outing. Me, Todd, and Tyler are working all hand in hand, setting up our RTC, setting up our charters. But with that, I mean, the West Point Wrestling Club is important, especially to me, because without it, I don't get paid. If I don't get paid, then I live on the streets. If I live on the streets, then I don't know what else is going to happen. It keeps jumping. It keeps getting worse. I don't want that. Then my dog has to be homeless, and he's too bougie for that.
Yeah. So keeping on track with the West Point Wrestling Club, just one more thing. So like, what are some of the goals towards it? Like, I know it's obviously it pays for your salary and Tyler's salary, but there's a lot, even the Navy Marine RTC, they have some athletes, there's some, obviously Navy Line Wrestling Club, Cliff Keen, has, thriving resources for athletes and opportunities. Where do we start? What's the future of the West Point Wrestling Club when it, are they looking for athletes, and how can people that want to donate, what can they expect, as some of the goals in the future?
Oh yeah. So, yeah, like I said, besides me and the other coach, what it really does, it sets our guys up for, after season competition, the freestyle and Greco season. So as of right now, we aren't, taking any new athletes in because we want to focus all those funds to our wrestlers first. Our limited funds right now are to send, 20 guys to the U.S. Open whenever it happens, or, 20 guys to the U23 Nationals, the Junior World Team Trials, to get these guys exposure just in case they want to take that WCAP route in the future, and to get that route, they have to place these tournaments, they have to perform. So that's what the West Point Wrestling Club is doing right now. It's making sure that these guys have the opportunity, to have the opportunity to wrestle in these events, to have the opportunity to wrestle for the WCAP program. So it's actually very important because West Point won't pay for those outside events. Those are all personally funded through the West Point Wrestling Club, through our donors. So it's extremely important. And right now, the only other person who pays for it besides our athletes was myself a couple weeks ago in Iowa. So I guess right now, me and Jeremiah Minotti are the sole, non-West Point athletes of the West Point Wrestling Club.
Yeah, we'll get to here in a little bit, but just to put a nice bow on the West Point Wrestling Club discussion, because we really haven't got to hit on that on the show yet. For some of the older listeners, the RTC model is really new in the last probably 10 to 12 years. And if you're not familiar with it, get on the website, check it out. Like Coach said, it pays for his salary. It pays for the salary of the USMAP's head coach. And then I think it really boils down to the word you use, which is opportunity. It provides opportunity to our cadet athletes, whether it's them going to additional training events, competitions, or it's bringing in training partners, right, where we can pay additional athletes to be, quote unquote, stationed at West Point and train there full time. That is an additional training partner that is for our guys to make them better. So it's important. It's somewhat of a loophole of how colleges are getting more opportunities to athletes. And, there's a lot of room for growth in our West Point Wrestling Club. So if you're not donating already, donate. So you already mentioned that you qualified for the Olympic trials. Talk through that. We talked a little bit of Greco, breaking Colat's knees, but how did you move into Greco, and what's the goal moving forward?
So funny story. I've always liked throwing, and at one point while I was at Nebraska, they talked about, me maybe going to the OTC after college. So Matt Lindland, who's the head Greco coach at the USA Wrestling right now, he actually went to Nebraska, so there was a connection there. I wanted no part of that. At that point, I thought Greco was boring. I was like, I like shooting double legs, I like shooting single legs. I'm like, I want no part of that. So that was always my perception of Greco. Moving forward to, I want to say, it was September, October 2019. John Anderson. I just moved back to West Point. That guy is just the definition of intense. One of my favorite guys. A great friend of mine now. And I remember he'd come into the room and he wrestled with the guys. He'd have the singlet on. I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's crazy. Like it. And I remember we had one morning practice, and him and this, one other guy, came in. And this guy's name was Jake Fisher. Apparently they used to be rivals, and now they're training partners, 2 different weight classes. And, John was like, hey, want to wrestle with us? I'm like, you're about 200 pounds, filled with muscle. That guy's got long hair, looks like he knows how to do Greco. I am small, and I have no idea what's going on here. But okay, sure, I'll join in, whatever. That just shows that, again, Juco, guys. They all full circle. That was my smart decision. We got a 200-pound muscle-bound Greco guy, and another guy was like a world teamer Greco. I said, yeah, sure, I'll train Greco, you guys. Makes sense.
You're the volunteer assistant. You have to wrestle at every practice. So every practice. No practice is off.
Wasn't there. It's great. Makes sense. So I wrestled with them, and John, just being like the physical bully he is, he would just run at you. And there's a couple of times, and I hope he doesn't listen to this because he'll come after me. But I just hipped it and threw him. So he was just running at me. I was like, oh, okay, I felt that. Jake Fisher was a different story. He was just really technical in Greco, and but I got on top and maybe I was able to get a turn, and apparently I had a good gut wrench. They gave me the nickname the Sneaky Turk because, I mean, what most people don't know is I'm Turkish. That's where the last name comes from. So I started training with them. It was fun. I mean, honestly, the practices were fun. It was really laid back. It was, it was technique driven, but we also had the entertainment of John Anderson jogging for 5 minutes and then just putting his singlet straps on and, just profusely sweating in 2 minutes, which made no sense. It was fun. Me and him, I'd go in really early, and me and him would drive to Connecticut, and they were training for the 2019 Senior Nationals. So I was just an extra body. I was just a different feel. I was a guy that had no idea what Greco was, but I was if my hand's locked, I'm trying to throw. That's all I knew. I had good throwing technique because, Vogard taught me early, but I didn't know Greco. So I was training with them. They said, hey, you should compete again. I said, definitely not. I'm never going to compete in Greco. Trust me. Then moving forward, then Captain Simpson. Sorry, Major Simpson. Oh, God, I'll never get that right. He's a major now. Will, I'm sorry if you listen to this. I'm so sorry.
Slick Willie, he'll forgive you.
I know. Listen, I don't know. He's kind of, Will, he's kind of mean. So he'd come in, he'd work out. So everything happens. Let me try to get canceled. Then, summer's here and John Nison's about to leave. We get a couple more training sessions in. And then I get back to work. This is how it's a funny story. I get back into work and, we have our, gear, like our NCAA gear, just sitting there in box, it's our, Barbarian Apparel. The Barbarian Apparel guy was good friends with Coach Shuck. So he gave us West Point wrestling shirts and sweatpants, nice gear. And at the bottom of this box, I just see these two bags. I take these bags out and there's a red and blue, international singlets. I'm like, Ned, why'd you get singlets? He goes, I forgot about those. I turn them around. They say Abidin on the back of them. I'm like, whoa. And on the leg, there's a West Point Wrestling Club crest on it. And he's like, yeah, I asked the guy if he can make those because I thought if I got them, you might compete, at the last chance qualifiers. I was like, well, damn. I mean, Senior Nationals are in October. I guess I'm competing. And that was my push. I saw singlets with my name on them. I said, all right, I guess I'll compete. Training didn't start there. I just, had a couple, I just wrestled around still, with some of the AIs because I couldn't wrestle with other guys. And then it wasn't until probably 3 weeks until the event where I was like, okay, I really have to, number one, get my weight under control because I haven't made weight for the past 2.5 years. That was just missing my mind. I wasn't wanted to think about getting back down to the 40s. And then also I didn't really train any Greco since the summer. So, biggest shout out I can give right now is to Major Simpson because, Willie was, he was the man. He came in, we worked out in the mornings. We got a bunch of training sessions in, because it was great because he was my size and the guy was so, foundationally grounded in Greco. He knew Greco very well. And, he was just, he gave me what I needed. Even in those short, 2 to 3 weeks, I didn't have expectations going in. And I think that's why I did so well. If anyone saw me that compete when I was in freestyle or in college, I was the guy that had the headphones on, go, shaking my head, getting all serious. And I wouldn't want to joke around. At the Senior Nationals, I was joking around with Troy Steiner, who was my Fresno State coach. He was my corner. I was just laughing, just, messing around with the refs before the match. I was just cool and collective. And I found out that day that I guess Greco is kind of fun. I made a promise before that tournament that I'm like, hey, guys, if you're not a fan of Greco, watch my matches because it's a throw or be thrown attitude. And I shown that in matches that I won and lost. Well, it's the same guy twice. That guy threw me. I was like, oh, okay, this is Greco. Okay. Got it.
That's an awesome story. It also proves that the gear still wins the recruits.
Come
on now.
That's it.
The gear? Sign me up.
And it was there. I was like, what am I going to do with these singlets? Hang them up. So my son, my future son, I will have a son one day. No one's pregnant, just so everyone knows. These singlets. Oh, Dad, what'd you do in these? Oh, someone just gave them to me. So, Dad, it sounds like you're kind of a wimp and you didn't want to compete. Son, you're right. Well, I didn't want to have that conversation with my future hypothetical son. So that's what made me, drove me to.
It's funny. I don't know if it's like this for anybody else. Maybe some listeners who maybe comment on the show, but our day is a really crappy day at West Point. But when you you got all your clothes, when you opened your like PT shirts that had your name on it, it felt kind of cool. Like it made the day sucked, but it added a little, little sunshine to the day. What do you think, JT? Did that impact you at all?
It didn't impact me at all. But I will take it down saying that if you're wearing a PT shirt on Veterans Day at BW3s, there's a 100% chance that you were chaptered.
It's B-dubs, not BW3s. And you were crying on your R day, according to your dad.
Yeah, he's right.
All right, back to topic now. So
very happy that I have no idea. I have an idea, but I have no personal idea what you guys are talking about.
You should go through our day. You can make it through the whole part until you have to go to the barbershop if you don't want to cut your luscious locks, just to see what it's like.
Yeah, I could. I got to check my schedule and, the way my bank account works, there's a checkings and the savings. And then you guys know the whole thing, And I got to watch my dog. My dog, she's right here. She's up.
Well, they'll get you some gear. Maybe that'll change your name.
Listen, you show me a shirt that says, I always put this Abidin on. I'm like, all right, where am I running to? I start running.
Oh, that's awesome.
Very easily persuaded. And that, showed me a lot of positive and also negative things in my life. Just, we won't get that far into it, but just know, easily persuaded.
So we talked a little bit about in the beginning about how the season's going, maybe possible schedule ahead, but how's the team looking as far as guys? Is everybody healthy? Is everybody hungry? What's the vibe with the team?
No, the team dynamic surprised. To me, it's surprising because, I don't know how I'd feel in their shoes, but it's pretty good. They come into the room, they're ready to scrap, they're ready to work, they're hungry to learn. And no serious injuries. These guys they're looking good. They look ready, and I'm excited for our first match because these guys are going to turn a lot of heads from 25 up. There's no holes that I see in our weight class in our lineup. And our guys, from maybe a little bit of rust coming back in, but they've shown just complete determination to just rise above their stature, and just prove that they're here. They're ready to go. They are starting D1 material. And not only that, they're ready to be one of the top 10 teams in the country. So I see that, and it makes all this worth it. Because as a coach, you especially me, always wanted to be on the mat with them, and now I can't. It takes away a little bit from my job. It makes me feel a little part of me is not there. But seeing the way these guys are competing right now, that fills that void. And man, I'm telling you, it's not even just like the starting lineup. We have depth. Our second string guys can go, do some damage nationally. Which we've shown in some weight classes, the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So we are. It's a team that's steadily on the rise in the right direction. Because the more we inform some of these kids, because listen, if I knew what I knew now, and I put that into my, I'd have to go 16-year-old head because I want my grades to be better. It'd be a no-brainer. It'd be West Point. If I knew what I knew now, then it'd be a no-brainer for me. And I know people think I'm using this as a sales pitch for West Point, but the life that these guys live, it's so admirable. God, I would love that. And seeing what these guys are doing now and competing hard. Now our team is, I'm excited. I'm excited. Our team is going in the right direction. And I guess the word definitely just excitement for these guys. They're going to turn some heads this year.
Yeah, I'm getting all pumped up over here. About to get a workout in.
Go for a run.
So what's the biggest lesson this is your third year at West Point. What's the biggest lesson you've learned there coaching, from maybe, from the guys or maybe from Kevin, the other coaches, Willie?
Wow. Biggest lesson. I'll give you the first lesson. The first lesson I got. So it was, I took the job and I came back and I was wrestling because I was supposed to compete in Canada that summer, but then I was wrestling. I wrestled with Trey Shalafu, who was the first kid I worked out with when I was at West Point. And Kevin comes up to me and goes, hey, he mentioned that I wrestled, one of his guys at the NCAA tournament. I wrestled Logan Everett at the NCAA's my senior year. And he mentioned one of the moves I was hitting on him. And he goes, all right, teach it to me. So I thought I was. And he goes, no, actually teach it to me. And again, I was so confused. I'm like, this is how you do it. You pay attention, Kevin. You're frustrating me. Open your eyes. Didn't actually say that, but what he explained to me was, listen, you have to, when you're going forward, especially with your skill set, you have to explain moves like these kids have no idea what wrestling is. You have to break everything down step by step, give analogies, give certain viewpoints. And I think that was one of the best lessons I got, because it was from that I derived how I teach my technique. And I have a lot of technique to teach. I'm completely hands-on. I know a lot of wrestling for these guys, and I just know that was probably the best lesson I got, was the first one. How to coach. How do you coach? It's not going to be the same for every guy. That guy's going to learn best when, you ease up when you go live. That guy's going to learn best when you beat the living crap out of him until he feels like a caged dog, and then when you let him loose on someone else, he's rampant. So I think just hearing that and just seeing it and just believing it and just trusting it, I think that was probably the first and best lesson that I got through my, entire, 3 years here. That, and also watching Ned Shuck always being the first and last person in the office. So me trying to duplicate that, me trying to do the whole, wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock thing all the time. Tried that, didn't work out. But other than that, I got other stuff down that Ned does. But yeah, I definitely have to say, what Kevin said to me first was the best lesson I got, because it really transpired to, make me who I am as a coach today.
That's awesome. Well, I got one last question for you, and it's something interesting that I've noticed a trend on the Army Wrestling social media. When they put the little verbs out, they ask these guys questions. What's your favorite TV show? One of the ones is, which coach would you want to wrestle the most? And the consistent answer is you. Why is that?
What? I have no idea why that is, because
easy target. What's the deal?
I wouldn't sound as I wouldn't pat myself on the back, but I'm the one wrestling the 25 pounders to the 97 pounders. We can get JT Brown on here, who's our starting 97 pounder, who was an NCAA qualifier, and you ask him who has more takedowns in his career, me or him.
Maybe it's you said with some guys you need to lighten it up when you go live. Maybe you're lightening it up on the wrong guys sometimes, and they're just taking advantage of it.
I
they don't know. They don't know the smoke you got. They think they're like, oh, this guy's going hard, but you're just going. You're not going full speed.
No, not at all. They really have no idea. I mean, some guys I do. Marcus Hartman got the full experience of that last year when we have something called Ned Flag Day, which was a red flag day, but we call it Ned Flag Day. Inside joke. It's kind of funny. But I said, Hartman, I'm going with you today. Hartman, comes off, being a second in, at Midlands, he's feeling hot. And, no one's pushing that much in the room. So I was like, all right, he needs a good old-fashioned beatdown. And Marcus Hartman, I think, threw up that practice, but he knew right away that, all right, this guy's got some smoke. I don't know his consistent answer. I don't know. Maybe these guys like getting beat up. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't wrestle Sullivan. I know he put my name down, which was really weird. Sullivan put my name down, and I don't touch him. Every time he puts his hands on me, I feel uncomfortable. Don't touch me. I don't like this.
Big man.
He's big.
I'll play around with Bobby. I'll play around with the other heavyweights. But when Sullivan grabs me, I'm like, I feel like a little child. Don't just let go of me. I feel uncomfortable. I need an adult. Don't touch me.
Well, it's been fun, man. You got anything else for us?
Listen, man, this was great. Love talking to you guys. Love sharing some stuff. Keep doing this. I mean, I think it's great. For all the listeners out there, to really hear what Army West Point's about, and just change people's perspectives. Just especially mine. My biggest thing coming in is I thought these guys were going to be a bunch of robots.
Yeah.
Here's West Point guys. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know what? I mean, what I try to get what you guys saw today was a little bit of personality, some laughs, a good time. That's the team.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a team of, amazing individuals that, are going to do something great for this country. But, man, they're normal people and they're fun people. So, I mean, the more we can spread that, I think the more, people understand what West Point actually is, the better. So, keep on with it, guys. As always, BHAW.
BHAW.
Beat Navy.
Beat them.
Hate squids. Got it.
Thanks for being on, Coach.
No problem, guys. Anytime.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.